So I have a couple tips to share, I think, and ones that we work a lot with clients kind of on some strategies. I think the first one is to start with the privacy policy and take a breath and take a holistic look. That is your kind of statement to the world on how you're complying with these laws, and maybe more importantly, statement to regulators who might be trying to assess your practices from the outside in. When there were only a few states at a regular cadence, folks had a California section, and then they added a reference to Virginia, and then they added a reference to Connecticut and Colorado. But we're past the point of just grafting new states on to that kind of state law section. So, you know, take a step back if that has been your historic approach and see if there's sort of a fresh way to provide a more uniform, simple, holistic kind of statement to the world about how you're complying. And as I said, the laws are still uniform enough that you probably could take this approach, although you would end up, maybe possibly over complying in some states. That's what leads me to my second tip. So, external compliance is one thing, or what you say in your privacy policy, but back end differentiation is still allowed and appropriate. So, to the extent you can streamline operations and standardize them, like using one web form and not email as an intake for requests where folks can kind of type whatever they want and you're not going to get uniform information from folks. Again, to if you can steer consumer rights requests toward standardized intake, if you can simplify your contract compliance to, as much as you're able in your position to sort of make those obligations uniform and consistent, that's going to simplify all of that compliance. And then you can always differentiate on the back end. So as long as your privacy policy is clear that you're going to apply rights, where they're applicable to requesters, you can sort of say, hey, you have a right to access, but in certain select instances, if for whatever reason you choose not to extend it to someone where you're not legally required, I think you still have that flexibility. So kind of standardize external compliance with back end differentiation if that's appropriate to your organization or consistent with how you want to treat this body of laws.